And welcome to Mindset Learn Extra Live. Today we're going to be doing maths literacy maths literacy.
Grade 10.
Grade 10, and this is Hayley. She'll be doing some amazing stuff today, and I think can you trust numbers? This is the question. I think what we're going to do is follow us on facebook.com/learnextra, also at Learn Extra on Twitter. Today we're going to be having some fun with numbers, hey?
Finding out if you can trust numbers.
Yeah.
And what numbers are all about.
Okay, perfect. So guys, we're going to go to a short break and make sure you're back. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. Oh my gosh, I think we're having a few technical difficulties today, but not to worry, I'm sure they will get sorted out shortly. You know, those gremlins, they creep into the studio and make a mess of all the systems, but it makes it more exciting for you. It makes us look a little bit funny. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to go straight to Hayley, and she's going to start talking about how we can have a little bit of fun with numbers.
Hi. First of all, today we're looking at can you trust numbers? So I'm struggling to underline. Okay, can we trust numbers? Let's first look at what our session's about. So, okay, I can't move my board. Right, we're going to be looking generally at the number system. We're going to be looking at the different formats of numbers. We're going to be looking at questioning and reviewing numbers, revising answers to make sense of a number, recalculating an answer when initial conditions change. But to start off with, I want to just look at numbers. What are numbers and where do we use numbers in real life? I'm struggling with this board. Right. Think about numbers and where we see numbers around us. So now I've got two nice pictures up here, just of two different numbers, and what do they mean? The number 23 on the back of a rugby jersey. And did you know what that means?
I am the worst rugby person ever. All the boys are probably going to be like, oh, an idiot.
Let me give you a little clue. There are 22 players on a rugby team. So player 23 is the supporter. People that go and watch the game are considered player 23. So that's where 23 comes from in rugby. Right, the number 10 that Pele wears on his back, I think was one of his favorite numbers. But numbers have a lot of meaning. Let's look at some more numbers. What about lucky and unlucky numbers? Indy, what's your lucky number?
My lucky number is 10.
Your lucky number is 10?
Yeah, just like Pele. I was born on the 10th of March. 10 is a double digit. It's a good number.
Seems like a great number.
Yeah.
Indy, I think we better take a little bit of a break. I'm struggling to write with...
Okay, guys, what we're going to do is, we're going to take a little break just to go and get this sorted out. Chat to us on @LearnExtra on Twitter, also Facebook, www.facebook.com/LearnExtra. Post your questions in there. Also, grade 10s, if you go to the grade 10 Maths Literacy Events tab, you will be able to see that we've posted a little question for you there. So let's see if any of you guys can work it out during the break, and we'll see if anyone's answered after the break.
I will explain the challenge again.
Okay, perfect. See you after the break. Welcome back, guys. I hope you're all joining in. Grade 10s, even grade 11s and 12s. You never know. Maybe a little bit of a refresher. Maybe giving you something to think about this afternoon. Guys, chat to us on our page. Chat to us on Facebook and on Twitter. Let us know about how you might love numbers or maybe might not love numbers. Hayley is probably going to tell you how much she loves numbers this lesson. So tell us about numbers.
Okay, so you were talking about the number 10, and it actually fascinated me that was your favorite number. If you think about the number 10, what are we teaching right now? We're teaching grade 10. And there's the number used in two totally different contexts. So numbers also have to have a specific context. What do the numbers mean might have a different meaning depending on where we see the numbers. 10, you mentioned your date. That's a good number, okay? We could have also had the time. I could have said, well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I could use that 10 there. What about other numbers? Indy, tell us right now, how many learners have we got following us on Facebook?
Okay, let's have a look over here. At this very moment in time, we have 5,191.
Now that's a number, and it's a really important number because that tells us exactly how many people are following us. Now guys, we hope to bring that number up. So go tell your friends all about our numbers and how fun this is. We can also I can think of lots and lots of other numbers. A street address. Hey, if I tell you you need to go to 11th Avenue, would you know where to find my house? Indy, would you be able to find me if I gave you 11th Avenue as my address?
Probably not.
So I need a little bit more information. A house number or a flat number.
Yeah, I live at number 70.
There you go. So those numbers are important. Okay. A unique number that I have that nobody else has is my ID number. That's a totally unique number, and it tells me a lot about myself. It tells me the year I was born, the month, the date. It also tells me if I'm female or male. Let me try right on this board and see if we can get this sorted out. If you look at an ID number, you've got your first 2 digits are the year, then you've got 2 digits for your month, so let's just say 12, and then the next 2 digits are the date, so let's call it the 23rd of December, and then you get another 4 digits, which basically tell you if you're male or female, because the females start with 0 or 1, and the males start with 5 or 6. And then it's the number that you were registered on that particular day. So you can look at your ID number now and see when you were registered for that day and your birthday.
That's amazing. How were you 16 when you get your ID? So maybe if you're 16, if you're in grade 10, go and look at your ID. Open your ID book and have a look at those numbers, and you can see that's you in numbers.
There's some numbers that we need to keep to ourselves. If I want money right now, that's a good number. Money is a good number. If I want money right now and I go to an ATM, okay, I can actually use this board. When I go to an ATM, I have to put in my secret PIN number. That's a number I don't want anybody to share, but the only way I'm going to get money out of the ATM. What other numbers can you think of, Indy?
Okay, interesting numbers. Numbers when I use every day. Cell phone numbers?
Cell phone numbers. That's a perfect number.
Everyone, all the mindsetters are on their cell phones. I know this.
I'm going to just make up a number. So let's go 032. I know there's no 032 in the country.
No, just in case 072 something gets phoned by hundreds of students all over South Africa.
Let's use like they do in the movies. We're going to go 555.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. That's a cell phone number. And please notice I've written it a very specific way. I've written 3 numbers, which basically gives me the exchange. Or if I had to use a local number, it might be 011 or 021. So that's the exchange. I've moved my 0. Let's see it back there. Then I've written 5 numbers and 4, just because it's easier to actually understand. It's easier to read. Okay, so cell phone number is a great number. If I look at a number, the cell phone number, just purely as a number, not in its context, that's a very big number. Because I've actually got, let's put some dots to see that's 1,000, and there's 1,000. I've actually got 325,551,234. I've just changed the context a little bit, and you see we've totally changed the number. Tell us some more numbers.
Okay, what about number plates?
Number plates, also a perfect, unique number. That's a great number. So with our number plates, we've just changed them now. So we've got 2 letters. So I'm going to use X's. And then we've got our numbers, say 1, 2. And then we've got another 2 letters. And then our GP, which tells us, well, it's Gauteng. The other provinces have got different number systems that they use for number plates. We've also got, what about my height? There's a number.
That's a good number.
It's a great number.
How tall are you?
I think I'm 1.65.
See, I don't even know my height. It's terrible.
So there's a number. I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
My weight, another number. Not going to discuss it.
No ladies ever share their weight number.
It's like
or
my
age number. Like it just doesn't happen.
So that's perfect. So those are all our numbers, and we've got lucky numbers and unlucky numbers. Hey, I'm just trying to think if there were any other numbers that I was talking about. One of my kids I was talking to today in class, and he said a nice number is paint by numbers.
Oh, I love paint by numbers.
And if you're not very artistic, that's perfect. It tells you exactly what numbers to use, where, what colors, and every number has a meaning in paint by numbers. And that's the whole thing with numbers. Numbers usually have a meaning. And throughout our Maths Lit course, throughout the years that you're going to be doing Maths Lit, for the next 3 years, we're going to be using numbers, and we're going to be using numbers in context. And I actually challenge you guys to look out for numbers. Bus number is another good one.
I've got a good one. Lottery number.
Oh, that's a perfect number.
That's the kind of number that I want to know on like today for tomorrow.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that would
So
be
no,
perfect.
that's the number that you need.
And usually you choose the lottery numbers that you choose, unless you take a quick pick, you would usually use numbers that have meaning in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
So guys, I challenge you, start looking and thinking about numbers. What about cost of something? There's a number. When I go shopping, I need to know how much money I have left that I can spend and how much everything's going to cost me. So those are all great numbers. Hey, let's see what else we've got going on here. See if we can get to the next page. No, that didn't do that. Yeah, this board's playing a little bit of games.
No,
I think there was something
that's why they
before
call it
that.
touch screen.
Okay, let's give you the challenge question that Indy discussed, and then I think we'll take a short break. So the challenge question, Indy, I believe it's up on Facebook.
Yes. Okay, guys. Let me just explain to them how and where to get it on Facebook. Basically, what you need to do is you need to go to the Learn Extra Live events tab. You'll see there's grade 10 maths literacy. It's on every Wednesday, and this page will be going. Maths literacy grade 10 will be going until the end of the live shows. So guys, it's a place where you can start posting your questions, helping people out with their questions, and just chatting about things you don't understand. It's a nice place to discuss things. And we have posted the question onto the events tab. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it onto our main page so you can get straight to the link after. Haley?
Let me quickly read through the question for you so that you've got it in case you haven't got access to Facebook right now. And during the break, you can just quickly go through it. So we want to know the meaning of the following and their numbers. So the first one is XV. The second one, 144. The third is 01 colon 05 colon 59. Then I've got 5, 4. Okay. And the last number that we're posing as our challenge is 6, 5345 Okay, Indy, I think we can take that break.
Okay, guys, we're taking a break. Don't leave those seats. Go and have a look at the number, see if you can work it out, and don't forget, learn more, learn extra. Hi guys, and welcome back, and I hope you're enjoying the show. There's not nearly enough of you talking to me on the Facebook page. Come on guys, Haley gets to teach the entire time, and all I get to do is chat to you guys and pass my questions on. It's going to be a very boring show for me if you guys don't tune in, if you know what I mean. I just want to say thanks to you guys that have been writing and have attempted Haley's question. Tiny and Anu, thank you so much. You guys are getting there. John has said that you're on the right track. Keep going. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for a few more of you to start answering the questions, and then we'll get back to it later. But in the meantime, Haley is going to go through some other stuff.
So right, we're going to leave the challenge question. We're going to move on to our next page. Right, so when numbers started, we didn't start with the numbers like you and I know numbers, with 0, 1, 2, 3, okay? We started with numbers. The Egyptians had numbers in hieroglyphics. The Mayans had numbers. They used a different system. And going back, we can now see what their numbers represented and kind of convert it into everyday numbers. And one of those that we use in everyday, but we don't really realize it, is the Roman numerals. Just the other day, Indy, John was telling me he went to, I think it was one of the supermarkets, I can't remember which one, and the aisle numbers were in Roman numerals.
Can you imagine? I think everyone would be very confused if they didn't know.
If they didn't
I can't even say it.
understand.
Roman and numerals.
If they didn't understand. But it's nice to be able to understand different numbers. So every Roman numeral from 1 to 10 has got a representation, and thereafter we go up in tens and with a different representation. So I can create any combination of these to write a number. So if I wanted to write Indy's favorite numbers 10, well, that's purely just an X. Now, I'm struggling to write, okay? And if I wanted to look at another number, well, let's say my favorite number is 88, then how would I write 88? I'm going to write it as an L, 3 X's, because that's 80. That means made up of 50 and 3 10s, and now 8 is a V and 3 1s. And there I've got 88. Looks like a really complicated number, but that would be one way of depicting it using Roman numerals. Okay, let's move on to our next page and see what we got there. Okay, we now use the decimal number system. And this is the number system that we understand. This is what we see every day. This is what we use on a daily basis. And most of the numbers, in fact, all of the numbers that we were talking about earlier, use numbers that we know with the 9 digits. Okay, so in actual fact, we've got 10 digits, we've got a 0 as well. I'm going to come back to 0 in a second. So I have written all the numbers, and I've gone back a page, and while we do that, I've written all the numbers out for you to see. So I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And if I use any combination of those, I'm making a story with the numbers, and I'm telling a story with actually what the numbers mean. So these numbers make up everything around us, like I explained with the cell phone number. What we actually use in South Africa, we've got a convention of writing numbers. We use 3 digits, and I'm really struggling to write this. Let's try a different color pen, maybe that'll work. Okay, so we write 3 digits. I'm going to try this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, those signify our thousands. We leave a space, and then we do another 3 digits. And if I need another separation between thousands, what I'm talking about, I mean, we separate thousands from the millions, from the billions, from the trillions, etc. And we can get this number bigger and bigger and bigger. We leave a space. It's easier for us to read. So we read in 3 number segments. And then we use a comma to separate our whole numbers from our decimal numbers. And what's a decimal number? You might ask me, and I might tell you that a decimal number is a number less than a whole number, less than 1. And so I could then say decimal of 1, 2. Okay. You will hear us say, and you're going to hear your teacher say it over and over again, you need to round everything off to 2 decimal places. That means we're going to tenths, hundredths. We're going to the hundredths. Okay. Each of these numbers actually represents something. So if I look at, maybe let's change these numbers from 1, 2, 3. Let's make them 4, 5, 6. So I can show you what they all represent. So there's my less than 1, tenths and hundredths. My 3 represents 3 units. My 2 represents 2 tens. It represents 20. My 1 represents 100. Then I've got my space separating my thousands. My 6 represents 6,000. My 5 represents 50,000. And the 4 represents 400,000. And I could now, okay, let's put another number in here. Try that again. And if I wanted to, okay, it's not writing that side. If I wanted to put a number in front of that, I would have a space, and maybe I could put a 7 there, and it would represent 7 million. Now, I seem to have worked backwards. But if we had to read this number, well, it's 456,123, And once you get to the decimals, you can just say the numbers as in 1, 2. But it does represent 1 tenth and 2 hundredths. Okay, so I think we've gone through all of these. I want to come back to the 0. I never had any zeros in this number, but let's try to put one in. So if I say I've got 103, so I've got 103, let's call it rands. Let's see if I can get no, I can't get an R there. Never mind, I've got 103 rand. That 0, in this particular case, means it represents there are no tens. I've got 100, I've got 3 units, but I've got no tens. So the 0 there is really, really important. If I had to make it comma 5, now my rands, we don't write rands like this, and this is really important. We write it, first of all, we do need an R in front. I'm going to try get it on. Let's see if I try green. Let's see if we get green. Okay, I've got a rand there. Still don't have a rand there. We're struggling to write on this board. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I think everyone keeps writing and say, why are the teachers struggling on the board? Guys, please be nice to the teachers. This is a new board. It's a really big Wacom touchscreen, fancy, and it moves around. you know what, give them a week and they'll know exactly how to use it. So bear with us for today. Yeah, it's okay.
Absolutely.
You're not
Thanks,
the
Indy.
only one. You really aren't the only one, Haley. I feel like I really need to just let you know.
Thanks for that, Indy.
Okay.
I really need that little bit of confidence because it is a struggle. And you by now, you've been a maths lit for a little while. And what you need to know for future is that you need a reference. And that's why this is frustrating me so much, because I can't write that R in, and Rand has to have an R in front of it. So, okay, we're going to imagine it. I want you all to imagine there's a Rand there. But I still do have another problem with this that I've written at 5. And why have I got a problem with that? Is because we don't talk about 103,5 rands. We talk about 103 and 50 cents. So money is always 2 decimal places. And it's really a cool number because we know we have to go to 2 decimal places. So that's a wonderful thing about numbers. I want to come back to, so that 0, I know previously you might have heard that the 0 after the decimal doesn't mean anything, after the numbers of a decimal. But in money it does. It's really important that we go to 2 decimal places. The other thing that we can do with the 0 is, I was thinking about it driving here today. If I look at a number like this, where I've got 0, 0, that's a really important number. If I'm talking about, and there I would need a context, if I'm talking about a soccer game. Now, if my favorite team was playing and that was the final score, I don't know if I'd be that happy with the 0, 0. Indy, would you?
No, definitely not.
Okay, so it basically means that they scored no goals, but they also let no goals in. So that 0, 0 is actually...
It's actually not too bad. Like,
it's
because
better, I suppose, than losing.
Yeah, then if you're both going to lose, then, you know, that's fine. It's better than being the only loser, right?
Well, in this case, we've got no winner, no loser. It's basically a draw.
Exactly.
So, okay, so it's not too bad. I was just thinking of another number. What about 0 degrees? Have we looked at 0 degrees as a number?
Very cold.
Very cold.
Very cold.
Very cold. Okay. And while I'm discussing degrees, I want us to also quickly look at negative numbers. So far, all the numbers that I've been dealing with have been positive numbers. So I'm going to just quickly look at a number line, and I'm going to try this. Well, if I look at that as 0, seems to be writing right now, so let's hold our thumbs, and this will be -2, and let's make that +2, no, that +2, and I'll say write a 4, okay, so make that a +2, okay, there's your negative and there's your positive. And if I just look at the negative numbers, now, in reality, we don't see negative numbers that often, but we need to be able to deal with them and understand when we do see negative numbers. So one negative number that we would experience is -2 degrees. And what does -2 degrees mean in your mind? Indy, what does -2 degrees mean?
In terms of a number.
In terms of a number. Well, in terms of cold. It's colder than the 0, and you told me
Definitely.
0 was freezing.
Yeah, -2 is definitely freezing.
Definitely colder. So the further away I get from the 0, the further away I get, and the more negative I get, especially with temperature, the colder the temperature is going to be. And the further positive I get, well, then the hotter it is. So if we're sitting at 15 degrees, that's probably quite comfortable. 31, a little bit hot.
Yes, like today. Exactly like today.
So, okay, we've got negative numbers in that respect. Another place where we see negative numbers is bank statements. Now, I never like to see negatives
I don't want to
statement.
Haley, I don't want to talk about this, about our negative bank statements.
But reality is the negative on the bank statement means you owe the bank money. So that's where you would see a negative. And we would probably see it if you take out a loan, then you've got a negative number. So we'll be dealing with that, and we'll deal with those negative numbers when we do finance, which will be a bit later on in the year.
So Haley, is it safe to say that I do not like negative numbers? I don't like cold. I don't like being in debt.
Okay, but I'm going to give you another negative number that we see in reality that maybe
Is
you
it a
will
nice
like.
negative number?
I don't know. Well, there's certain places, there's something called an altimeter. Now, I don't know if you've heard about it, but this is something that measures the level above sea level, where sea level being 0. And you do get places around the world that are actually below sea level. And you get drilling. Mines would probably go down below sea level. But I know the Dead Sea, and I love the Dead Sea. That is below sea level. And there are others. I don't know if you want to have a look while you online there, see if you can find anything in Africa that's below sea level.
Okay.
But that's not necessarily a negative number. How's that for a story?
I'll Google it. I hope I can say that, but I'm going to. Below sea level in Africa. Okay.
I tell you what, while you're Googling that, or while you're checking that out, let's see if we've gone through all of these. So we've looked at combination of numbers. We've looked at our units, tens, hundreds, smaller than 1. I've shown you tens, hundreds, thousands. So now maybe is a good time for us to look at some more numbers. I was going to say it's a good time to look at our challenge. I think our challenge is coming
Fantastic.
up.
Well, I found some negative places in Africa that are below sea level. Let's have a look here. We've got Ethiopia, which is negative 125 meters below sea level. Egypt is minus 133 meters.
Certain places in this, I'd imagine, not the whole country.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Let me have a look. Where else? Libya is also certain. I mean, let me try and Sabakat.
I looked up those.
Minus
I gave it
47.
to you to do.
Okay? That's why she made me do it, because she knew that they all had very, very funny names.
But think about it, and let's maybe you know of places that are below sea level, or maybe you can go and Google it yourself and try and pronounce those names.
Okay, well, Amsterdam is minus 4 meters above sea level, so that's one big city.
So do you still hate those negative numbers, Indy?
No. I can see all these places. I love traveling, so this is the only negative number I think I'll like.
So we're going to challenge Indy to go and look at all these negative numbers all over the world.
Okay, I will.
Let's carry on with some more numbers over here. We've also got numbers that represent something. If I say 1 minute, you know that there's 60 seconds in a minute. So it's 2 numbers, but it's actually one thing. 60 seconds and 1 minute are the same. And the same thing with hours. You know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So 24 hours is 1 day. 2 different numbers, but mean the same thing. So we've always got to be careful of what our context is. And the same thing for 7 days and 1 week. Okay, then I want you to look at a number, and I'm going to discuss the game of cricket for a moment. Now, just a quick recap. Right, cricket, there are 6 balls in 1 over. So in case you didn't know that, that's the fact. So 6 balls in cricket equals 1 over. But when I write this number, I'm actually going to say, well, okay, if I've had 14, let me try to get a pen. Right. I'll choose a green pen. Right, if I write the number 14, 5, and I'm looking at cricket, I could say 14 overs and 5 balls. That could be what that number represents. So it's totally different to 14 and a half, where if I had to say rand, that's totally different to cricket. Let's try to write this cricket of 14, 5. Okay, the same numbers have totally different meanings. But I'm coming back to this 14, 5, because what was I saying earlier about money? Money needs 2 decimal places, so I have to have that. So maybe they don't look exactly the same anymore. But I could have probably thought of another thing for 14, 5. Indy, help me out. What can we say 14, 5 is, where we don't have the 0 of rands? Okay, we could have had...
Could it be meters?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, 14 and a half meters. So now I've got 3 numbers that all have totally different meanings, but it depends sometimes on the context of what we're talking about. Let's quickly look at our challenge questions. How are our answers on Facebook?
Well, you know what? We have got answers coming on, and I think Tiny has got all of them. Ooh, and Manga also has them. So maybe what we should do is, I think it is time to go through.
So let's go through them, and then maybe we can...
Let's see, Mangi and Tiny, let's see if you're right. Let's have a look.
Right, so our first one. Okay, let's go with what kind of answer did we get for the X and the V?
Okay, I'm going to do 1, 1, 1, 1. So Tiny, for A, for the X and the V, he said, is the Roman number for 15.
Okay, so we had X being our 10 and V being 5. So he is correct. I can't write the 5 properly. Right, let's try write it here. Let's try that again.
And it's quite interesting because we've got answer from Mangi, and I mean, it's different to the way Tiny has actually answered them. So he said that XV is a Roman number. So he's kind of said XV, a Roman number, and then he's gone through the numbers saying, kind of like telling us
what they mean.
What the numbers are, which is quite nice. So we got two answers.
That's absolutely great, and I love that because in Maths Lit so often you get more than one answer, or definitely more than one way of doing something, and that to me is absolutely wonderful. And while I'm thinking about this, Indy, and tell them on Facebook, it's important that we know what you're thinking. So as teachers and as your markers and as people facilitating, we want to know what you're thinking. So by explaining that was perfect. The question said, what do the following mean? It never said, what are the numbers?
Exactly.
It said, what do they mean?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that answer.
Yeah. So.
Okay, what did they say for B?
Okay, so for B, this is quite cool because I get to answer two questions here. Tiny said, for B, he said 144 is a square root number.
Wow, okay, 144 is a square root number. Now, I know if you tell that to some of my matrics that I teach during the day, they're going to go, well, what's a square number? But that's a wonderful answer. Okay, what other question did you have?
Mangi said that it was a natural number.
A natural number. Okay, that's also perfect. I was thinking along the lines of that represents 100, 4 tens, and 4 units. But all these numbers are really great. All these meanings are really great. What about C?
Okay, C, Tiny said the ratio. I'm not quite sure.
He didn't say the ratio of what?
No, he just said the ratio.
Okay, the ratio, that's interesting.
And then Mangi just said ratio numbers. So maybe, let's have a look. Maybe I've got another answer. C, let me see. Chimwemwe said C equals 5 minutes past 1.
Perfect. That's the number that I had in mind when I set it. Okay, so we've got 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 59 seconds. But it definitely could be a ratio. But in this case, we are looking at the ratio of the number of hours to the number of minutes to the number of seconds. So in actual fact, they were probably all correct. So in this case, I'm going to go with 1 hour, 5 minutes, 59 seconds. Okay, and I know in my mind what's going to happen, because what did I say about time is that there were 60 seconds in a minute. So when I increase this by 1 second, I'm going to go to 1 with my colon 0.6, because I'm going to go now to 6 minutes. So this all makes sense because I have a context of what that number means. Okay, 5,4.
Okay, let's have a look here. Tiny said is a decimal number. And then, where is Mangi? Mangi said it is a rational number.
Okay, perfect. But what we have there at 5,4, I actually want to tell you that when I was thinking about this 5,4, I was thinking about cricket. Okay, so what does this have? This means that I've had 5 overs. Let's try that again. Is it not writing? 5 overs plus 4 balls. Okay, and 5 overs, there were 6 runs in an over. So I've actually got 5 times 6, which is 30 balls plus 4. So this number represents 34 balls that have been bowled. Being bowled. Try that again.
That was a good one. I think we'll definitely put that little clip up on YouTube.
I think that after we've discussed the last one, I think we need to take a little bit of a break. What do you say, Indy?
Yes, we shall. One more. Let's do the last one, Hayley. Okay, we are on E.
We're on E.
Okay, Tiny said is the decimal fraction. Okay, and then Mangi said irrational numbers.
Okay. It is definitely a decimal fraction. It is an irrational number. And to me, this number was 6, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, carries on and on and on. It is just over 6.5. That's what I'm thinking about, just over 6.5. And that's one of the tools that we're going to be learning, is rounding and making sense of numbers. But I think let's take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, let's take a break. Guys, we'll see you after the break. If there's anything that you're not understanding, please post it onto our wall, facebook.com/learnextra. Also chat to me on Twitter @learnextra. I see a whole bunch of you have added us and it's fantastic. And go get something to drink and we'll see you now. Welcome back, Mindsetters. Hope you enjoyed the break. You're still with us. We're talking grade 10 maths literacy, and Haley's with us, and we're about to do some awesome problem solving. Hey, Haley, you're the teacher. I think you should take it through. Hey,
I'm going to try. Thanks, Indy.
Pleasure.
Hope you enjoyed the break. So far, we've just been dealing with what numbers are and numbers that have context and where we would see numbers around us. And I still challenge you to think about this because you're going to come up with numbers that I haven't even thought about. Now, what I want to do next is I want to start giving you some of the skills that you're going to need to actually deal with these numbers. So the questions that we're going to get and the skills that we need. And a really important skill is the skill of estimation. Because Indy, I don't know about you, but when I go shopping, I have a rough idea of what things cost. I'm going rough. My husband would say rougher than that. Okay. But I have an idea that at the end what my trolley is worth. I don't think I keep a running total in my head, but if I had a specific budget, and I suppose my husband would love it if I was on a specific budget. If I had a specific budget, then I would have to keep this total in my head, and I would do that with estimation.
Yeah.
So it's a great skill, and we're actually going to go shopping now. So let's see what happens if we look at this shopping trolley and we need to estimate the total cost it'll be. Now, when we deal with estimation, what I want you to be able to do is convert things to numbers that are comfortable for you. So what do I mean by that? If I had to say to you, well, I've got 48.3%, that's a really hard number for me to comprehend what that means. Whereas if I say 50%, a whole lot easier because I know I'm now dealing with half of whatever that was. So that's important, and we're going to round now to numbers that are comfortable. So if I look at 2 loaves of bread at R7.49 each, we can round that to R7.50. We can round it to R7, or we can round it to R8. We really can do anything. This is important, guys. I want your teachers to be able to see what you're rounding to. So don't, in a question like this, or whenever you're using estimation, struggling to speak, don't just give us an answer. Give us all the workings. So in this case, I'm going to try, let's see, this green pen seems to be working nicely. So I'm going to estimate this as R7.50 because I know if I double R7.50, I've got R15. Okay, I'm really struggling to write today. So we've got 15.
Oh, I don't know what's wrong with that pen.
Okay, let's use our calculator. How's that? So
it's making a plan.
We're going to put our R15 into the calculator. Right, then I've got 30 eggs at R32.99. So I can round that to 35. It's probably closer to 35 than it is to 30. But 30 is a nice number for me. I like 30. It's an easy number, so I'm going to actually say plus 30. Right, and then I've got 3 2-litre bottles of milk at R17.45. Now, this is actually not clear in my head whether I've got 3 bottles of milk and they cost R17.45 in total, or whether I'm dealing with 3 bottles at R17.45 each. So, Indy, do you want to try to take a guess there? I'm not sure what milk goes for these days. 2 litres of milk, I'm going to go that R17.45 is probably each.
Yes, definitely. Oh gosh, I haven't bought.
I think milk's about R10 or so a litre right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with it each.
Yeah.
But this is the point, that if you get something like this in a test or in a situation or in class, well, in class you're going to ask your teacher. You put up your hand and you say, ma'am, I don't understand, or sir, I don't understand. But if you get something like this in a test, please explain to the examiner what you've done. So how could we do that? I'm going to say 3 times, like I'm going to try write this. So if I say 3 times, no, I can't get a 3. I think I'll write this out. 3 times R17.45, I've told the examiner that I'm thinking that they are each. Or if I just add the R17.45, then that would also be fine. But what I want you to do is, if you have a suggestion like this, you can even write a little note. Hey, we love little notes, so we know what you are thinking. I'm going to round that up. 17.45, I'm going to make it 20. So I'm going to say 3 times 20, well, I know that's 60. So I'm going to add the 60 rand. Okay. Then I've got a box of breakfast cereal at 35 rand 60. So we can round that to 35 rand. Well, it seems like an easy enough number. So let's add 35. Bag of apples at 16.99. I'm going to round up or down. So should we round? We've been rounding up quite a bit. We rounded that a lot, so I'm going to round that maybe to 15 rand. And my washing powder, 55 rand. Well, 55 rand 69, sorry. Let's make that 55 rand. And the reason I'm rounding to 5s, and toothpaste I'm going to make 5 rand. The reason I'm rounding to 5s is that it's actually easy for me to deal with. That I didn't really need the calculator, and this is the whole joy of estimation. There's also no real wrong answer. I mean, I suppose if you had to round 6 rand 55 to 100, that would be wrong. But it's your understanding of that number, and it's what you feel comfortable with. So 6 rand 55, I could have rounded to 5 rand, or 10, well, I chose the 5. Let's see what our answer is. Okay, I got 215 rand. I'm going to show you what the actual total is. The actual total is 215 rand 26. Now, how close was that? And I promise you now, I've done this exercise a number of times. I've never got as close to that as I have right now. Indy, what do you think of that?
I think it's great. If only my shopping only came up to that.
Well, I suppose if you only just bought these few little things.
No, exactly.
I know I can never just stick to a shopping list
No,
either. So.
no, but that's what you go to. That you go to the shop wanting to buy that, but you come back with so much more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so our money never quite lasts as long. But yes, challenges. Well, check out things. Try do an estimation on your own and see how close you actually get to the exact answer by doing the calculations exactly. And sometimes you get closer. Well, I was really close, but I didn't expect it, because when I actually did it before the show, I got an answer that was much higher than that. So that's estimation. It's something that you have to work with. It takes practice, and the whole thing about Mathlet is practice. Right, let's see what's next on our list, if I can get to the next page. I want to now also discuss these problems with rounding. So let's look at this particular number.
Because that's what I was about to say. Because I mean, an estimation is kind of like a close guess to the actual answer.
It's a close guess to the actual answer, which makes it easier for us to work with.
Yes.
So
yeah.
That's why we would use it.
And it's better when you start working with bigger numbers, because it gets much easier, because the bigger the numbers, the more difficult to get.
Absolutely. The bigger numbers are more difficult to get. But the other thing is, the problem is our estimation. Whereas with let's go back to my shopping. No, can't go to my shopping. Found my shopping. With my shopping, I just changed like my 15 rand. I only changed that by 2 cents. Here I changed it by 2.99 rand. But as my numbers get bigger, so too does the amount that I'm actually kind of ignoring by estimating. So let me give you an example, Indy. Let's look at this. The estimated population of India is 1.2 billion people.
Sure.
That's a lot of people. I can write this as 1 billion people. I can estimate, I will round it down. It seems like a valid kind of estimation. I'm going to try and write this. Really going to see if I can get this. 1 billion. Okay, let's see where, somewhere along the line my pen is working. But I don't know where it is that it is working.
Try the green one. That green one always works for you.
This green one's...
Yeah, now go.
Okay,
See,
1.
I knew
Right,
it would work.
billion. How many zeros in a billion? We've got... And remember, I'm leaving spaces. Okay, so I've got 1 billion. There's my billion. So I've got 9 zeros in a billion. That is how many people are estimated in India. Now let's have a look at our exact number. This is a different way of writing the numbers, which is really quite interesting. We leave a space, and here we've got decimal places where we've got commas showing the thousands. So it's actually showing me I've got 1,210,193,422 people. And that's the actual census number, taken from wherever it is that we found that. The difference between rounding this number and this number is 210 million people. Indy, can you comprehend that number?
No, I can't. Do you know how many people are in South Africa?
In South Africa, I think we've got a quarter of that. I think there are about 50
I don't
million.
know. I'll Google it for you
Google
as well.
for me. I think we're about
Just okay.
50.
But we're nowhere near that.
So we actually, just by rounding this number, we have ignored 210 million, which, like I say, is about 4 times. Let's go with rough.
But that's
our
a big
estimate.
number to kind of ignore.
A
That's like
very big number.
Like a
to
million to ignore if you're
So-
rounding off.
The bigger the number is, the greater that rounding situation is that we take into account. But that's how we speak. We will say there are about 1 billion people in India. We might say 1.2, but we would normally say about 1 billion. So that's what rounding. I don't think we've got enough time to do another rounding. So what we can do is just discuss. Did you find our number for us for South Africa?
Google's being horrendously slow. It's coming though. Let's have a look. About over 50 million people.
Over 50 million. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was right about a quarter.
Yeah.
So we've got 50 million and we're talking about 200 million. So that is about a quarter of that.
Yes, yeah.
Now, every single one of us in South Africa is really important. And by estimating this, we've just disregarded 4 times us.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think we've done enough of the rounding. Well, we can do some more exercises next week about rounding. But I want you to think about all the skills that we've done today, that we've learned today. Think about numbers and where numbers are around you. Have our numbers changed on Facebook, Indy?
Let's have a look. They have. I know that they have. Okay. Hold on. Refresh. Takes a while.
Oh.
5,198. And I think, how much did we start off with? It was like 5,189. So I think it's gone up slightly.
Gone up slightly.
Hey? Wait, actually, I've got away. Carry on chatting and I'll tell you exactly how many people.
What we need to do is we need to get you onto Facebook. So go tell your friends all about it. And let's see if we can increase that number. And I promise you, every week we can look at that number. Just to start off, we're going to look at that number, and that's an important number for us. Okay, it's time for me to go. I'm going to just remind you to look at numbers all around you and to practice that estimation. When you go shopping next, think about how much everything's going to cost us in your basket. Okay, Indy, you can take it from here.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining in. It was amazing. Grade 11s, don't forget that you're on next, maths literacy as well. And grade 10s, goodbye, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.